but only a few frames. Then on the night of the murders, on camera this appears.
What the hell?
So, what is your general opinion on people giving opinions on the internet about films?
Like where though? Like IMDb specifically or?
No, not IMDb. Mostly like Facebook, Twitter reviews that usually pop up.
Mm, I mean, it's okay unless it's just completely, downgrading a particular film and like nobody gets to see it again, seeing the public opinion of it. Like, I mean, forget like the political side of it, like with the Standav now and Patal Lok and all. I mean, in those cases, it's clearly those people have gone to IMDb pages and downvoted it and given it 1 star and all. If you see those, I mean, Patal Lok, I mean, even if you don't like the show, it's definitely worth more than the rating it has on IMDb. Let me just check.
No, my what I wanted to say was like people's general opinion on a film. They're usually overcritical and overanalyze things, right? Like this shot meant something. Like I was just randomly on a very random Facebook group, and someone shared a shot of this person looking inside a car, looking at the person behind through his rear view mirror. And that person put that picture along with Taxi Driver shot. He's like, what a tribute to Scorsese. I'm like, that shot is literally there in almost every film or everything that has like a car shot involved or something.
Yeah.
So,
It's there in like Talash. I think that's
so
the
many
poster
things.
for Talash.
So, and I was just randomly scrolling on Facebook only, and someone just posted. There's this film called Sir,
Yeah.
which is a good film. It's streaming on Netflix, and basically that film is about two lovers. Actually, not lovers. Basically, it's a story. It's a brewing romance between
Guy
uh,
and a maid.
a maid and her boss. Okay, it's a very good romance. Like it's really well done. And someone put down this as a criticism, saying that the director and the writer don't address the issue of casteism in this film.
Yeah, I saw this.
I'm like, why do you have to do that in everything? I mean, that film is not about right. So in general, I wanted to ask you the same thing. Like, what do you feel about all of this toxic cinephilia culture that has been like coming up in the last 5-6 years?
No, I think like the reason they bring that up is because if you present anything with like certain amount of realism, then I think people expect all the stuff that exists in real life to pop up there. Like this same thing I saw with photograph, where like Nawazuddin was what is his job? Yeah, okay, he's a photographer in front of Gateway of India, and the girl is like this young girl who's studying for CA.
CA, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then there were reviews which said like this is not a thing that happens in real life. Like you can't have somebody from such a different age group as well as careers and all of that. Class difference, basically, financial backgrounds, all of that. And they said this is just not believable. And I was like, I don't know if like, I mean, it seems like it could happen. They seem to have addressed most of the things.
I mean,
and okay. Like if you're going for like a generalized portrait,
right?
Like you're like, okay, so we are dealing with a person who is a maid. So now we have to deal with caste because that is 90% of society.
Right.
So we need to represent that. I don't know what kind of like filmmaking that is. I mean, that's more like going for some social commentary rather than
but
the
tell me
romance
one thing. Why do you want to have a certain set of expectations for a film to exist? Right.
Yeah, by the way, I just want to say I haven't seen the movie, so I
No,
don't know.
that's all right. This is in general I'm asking. Like, why shouldn't we judge the film on the basis of what it is rather than what it should be? Right. I'm not saying what it could be, but I'm saying what it should be is a different take on a film, right?
I mean, they said that about like Slumdog and all, no? Like, you had these slum kids who were speaking English.
Right, right.
And that was like the first turn off for everyone. So it's like some people who may know that world, or like who may, I don't know where this is in Mumbai, right?
Right, yeah, Dharavi.
So maybe they know like that this caste is like an unavoidable issue.
See, but
in that scenario.
that's something we know, right? We as Indians would probably have a better idea about that. But you remember there's this film called Valkyrie by Bryan Singer.
Yeah.
It's about a certain set of Nazis wanted to assassinate Hitler. Okay, that stars Tom Cruise in it. The film starts with German. Okay, then you have got like subtitles.
Yeah.
And slowly in the same shot, it turns to English. And then the whole film is in English.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got to believe what the film is actually trying to tell you rather than like point out why aren't they doing this. Like, right. I mean, now what I actually see in just this quote unquote cinephilia culture, it's almost toxic. It is toxic. Like people overanalyze and they call anything as shit without even like understanding the context and what actually is the world of the story. Right.
Yeah, but like in the Valkyrie thing, no, that's like a device the person is using. Say it's a Hollywood movie to begin with.
Right.
So you can't have most of it in German unless you're like Tarantino and all.
Yeah.
Even there, it's like, it's not like the whole movie is in German and Italian and all.
Right.
But I mean, that's like a device. But here it's more like if you present any scenario, like whatever type of scenario you take, and you present it with a certain amount of realism, like when you're doing the actual conceiving process, then if you leave out something like caste or religion or something, I think for people who know that particular environment, I mean, they find it like
but
a glaring,
people tell me, people debating on Facebook, do you think they'll be a part of that environment in the first place?
I don't
If
know.
you
I
have
don't know. I
that
have
much
no
of
idea about
privilege
this
that you're
movie.
using internet and mobile, I'm pretty sure like you're a higher class people or you're living in a better, like in a safer, more comfortable life than any person who's facing caste issues in the first place, right?
Also, this movie, I don't think anybody from that lower class or something would watch this movie, right? This is made, I mean,
right.
Okay, anybody can watch any movie, but then, I feel like people who will end up watching this are the people who are, in A centers and what.
Definitely, exactly.
It's on Netflix, first of all.
Yeah, Netflix. And above all of that, I am a little like it gets a little irritating at times. Like people have sort of the kind of criticisms people have for films, the kind of perceptions they have is like, for example, you remember we watched Sonchiriya. Both of us liked it, right? And the same night I go back home, I check one of the reviews. There's this person who writes, the characters are not relatable. I'm like, why do you want to relate to a dacoit in the first place? Like, what part are you trying to relate to in the first? Like, there are gangster films and people like Irishman. People, one of the criticisms from people for Irishman was the film is not relatable. I'm like, do you really have to relate to everything to understand or enjoy something? I mean, that's you being like exclusively negative to films, right?
You can say that, but then it's like when you say it just in a very kind of brash way, you're like ignoring what could be relatable also. Like there's no way something like Irishman can be relatable if you just see it like the surface level. But then it becomes a thing about, like somebody's, like there's many factors, right? There's a guy's work life affecting his family life, and you see how his daughter looks like him. How is that not relatable? Like, is it? And it's like a good actor also. It's not like, so I mean, if you straight away just label something as not relatable, so I can't get into it, then like you just won't, like even when like the stuff shows up that becomes relatable. I mean, I think even that term of relatable I think it's been reduced to, okay, I need to see someone who's going through the exact scenario I am going through to of my same age group or from the same background.
Exactly. I mean, then how is it even a criticism in the first place? Then
yeah, because like even in like TV shows and all now, like people, TV shows, web series, stuff on YouTube and all, people watch stuff that are exactly like them. That's like, I don't know.
are you talking about Hustle India?
Yeah. people who are in college watch like college things and find it relatable.
People in college only watch Friends and find it as the
Yeah.
most relatable thing. But that's okay. Like you can find. But then it becomes a little invalid to criticize films of a different nature and it's set in a different context, land, culture, right?
But Friends is more like some fantasy they have. Like,
Yeah, but then
okay, that's a different subject. Yeah.
so talking about perceptions and everything, I watched this film called Virumaandi recently. I actually discovered Virumaandi. It was there in Adu Kalam. Adu Kalam directed by Vetrimaran. It was there in the credits. He credited that film as one of his inspirations. There were like a bunch of films, obviously.
It was there in the credits
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the
Towards the end, I think that's the last. Towards the end of the credits, a list of films appear. Like I think there's some like 10 films or something, or 8 films, whatever. They appear towards the end, and Virumandi was mentioned there. And I had seen some interview
Yeah.
of Vetrimaran where he was crediting the style and just the cultural part of Virumandi in some interview. And while I was watching that, like in that interview itself, there was like a clip that played over that while he was talking. It was some shot of following one shot of Kamal Haasan from behind, and instantly I could see something like which I thought I have seen somewhere before. It was a shot very similar to what I'd seen in Jallikattu as well. Jallikattu directed by Lee Jojos Pelisheri. So I mean, then I was like really fascinated by just the idea of what this film actually could be. And I tried looking for it online at a number of places, torrent, whatever was available to me. And I finally found it. I watched it. I loved it. And then I could realize how influential that film was for a lot of filmmakers and how really it could influence like filmmakers in the future. What about you?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like, you could see a direct influence on a lot of things, especially what Vetrimaran is doing now, or like Lokesh Kanagaraj. I mean, I think the whole look of the main guy in Kaiti he took from Virumaandi, like the hairstyle and like all that, the sideburns and mustache, everything. And you can see like how like what is the influence also. It's like people say this has something called Rashomon effect and all, but then that's the thing I heard about it going in to watch it, because I had seen like parts of this movie earlier, but I never saw it from beginning to end. And recently, I mean 1 week back or something, it came on Prime, and yeah, it's the first time I saw it from beginning till end. And yeah, I mean you can see how first of all, I didn't see any of the Rashomon thing being brought to prominence, or like it wasn't like the main highlight of it. But at the same time, it existed, like, especially in that second half of it. And, events get shown from different perspectives, or like multiple times it's shown from different angles. I mean, that's about it. But mainly it was more like, he's taking like a pre-existing paradigm and he's fitting it perfectly into like some cultural context. I think that's like the best part of what he does usually. And also talking about even something like Anbe Shivam and all. People say that's like, taken from planes, trains and automobiles and all. But if you see the movie, it's just like, the first 30 minutes or something, where it's like a comedic track is taken from that movie. That's it. And then it goes into its own thing. Basically, that's how Kamal Haasan usually, like, in his adaptations and all of that, that's what usually happens. Except for like, I think Chachi 420 is more direct. Everything except that, it's just like he takes it and he makes it his own thing.
Right. I think that's what has happened. I think I watched 3 of his films in the last 1.5 months. Heram, Alavandan, and then Virumaandi itself. I mean, with Virumaandi, I didn't know about the Rashomon thing before, but when I saw it, then when I read about it, the good part about it was like that Rashomon thing wasn't like a very exclusive or a very specific thing that happened. Like in most films that you see where Rashomon effect is applied, there'll be something very particular that will be done to establish or to tell the audiences that this is a Rashomon effect that is happening, right? Or a certain style. Here there's nothing like that. You go with the story, what is needed for the story only happens.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't necessarily serve the effect. It serves the story, and that what you just told, it fits in the whole narrative perfectly. And just the same idea what I was just telling you was Kamal Hassan's writing, like how he uses basic themes and uses it to tell you a story is something really good. Even with Ala Vandan, how he used like just the nature of duality as the central theme of the story. He uses it. He takes like parts of it and uses it in Virumaandi as well. Like two people having different perspectives of a story.
Yeah.
I mean, it is titled Virumaandi, but you never know what actually was the truth, right? Because you get only two perspectives of the story. Like, because when it begins from Kotala Tevar's, Kotala Tevar is another character in the film, and when it begins from his perspective, it is told in a certain way and from his personal perspective, right? And the person who goes to interview Kotala Tevar and Virumaandi both is a neutral. So that person becomes
Wait, can you
our
just
perspective.
summarize like what is the movie about?
Yeah, just a second. I'll just read out. So, basic synopsis, which is there on Google, says a reporter researching the death penalty meets Virumandi and Kotala. While listening to their versions of the same day, she realizes that Virumandi is being punished for a crime he did not commit.
Yeah.
So, it's quite similar. The reporter that goes on to make a documentary basically on death penalty is forces us to perceive the same kind of judgment that she actually perceives it as, right? Like the reporter considers Virumandi's take as the more sympathy or like the more something that can be empathized with more than Kotala Tevar's story, and so do we. Right? But we never know what actually happened there because we never get another perspective to the story. I mean, there's also like how brilliantly he uses the. It begins with the bars of TV, right? Those no signal bars that appear on TV, right? And he uses very, I don't know if it's a very nuanced or a very subtle theme, but I feel in the bigger picture, he's just trying to use that whole the idiot box, trying to fool you.
I mean, he does
thing.
that in the
I don't know.
beginning of his movies. Like, if you see Vishwarupam also, it starts with that dance, like him teaching dance to them. And it's constantly going from, outside a particular glass. Like, the thing begins from outside glass, and then most of the thing is like full reflections. Which, like, in the beginning, you think it's just, it's just a style of shooting it. But then later on, like, the whole spy thing and all comes in, and then it makes more sense. Like, because most of that song is shot in, like, reflections. There's one shot which is, like, there's one boom box, and there's, like, the name of the song coming on a screen. And then the reflection of that screen shows them dancing and all, some crazy stuff. And, I mean, he usually does that. It's like he goes for some visual metaphor.
Basically trying to deceive you or whatever.
And he did this in Vishwarupam, and which is, I think, I don't know which year, 2012 or something, first Vishwarupam. And
2013.
Then, and then
January.
Spielberg made Bridge of Spies. Exact same thing. He said he started out with a reflection, looking at that guy, what's his name? Yeah, Mark Rylance. And he's like fixing something or something in the beginning scene, and it's a reflection. And in the interview with, I think with Scorsese or there's one interview, right, with Scorsese and Spielberg. And he said the exact same reason. So, like, I think Kamal Haasan sort of
did it before. I mean, actually, that's one of the things that he's done. He's basically been, first of all, he knows everything. He's co-edited the film with another editor, Virumaandi. He's written the film. He's directed the film. He's acted in it. He's one of the singers there. He's wrote 2-3 songs in it. I mean, he does everything.
If you see his like writing and all the songs and the script, it's proper like literature. It's not something everybody can write. It's not like casual dialogues.
Yeah. Very natural to the whole.
Yeah, even if you ask people who know Tamil, they'll find it difficult to understand most of what he's saying.
Because he is very specific.
No, I mean his like language. Shoots, like it's very hardcore Tamil and.
Oh. Okay.
What do you call it? Like even in Hindi, it's like. There are some movies where it's like that hardcore Hindi, which is...
Right. Mostly Shyam Benegal films or like someone who's making it early on. Right. I mean, in a way, there's also this one scene, the opening scene is the Jallikattu scene, right? Where Virumaandi is actually trying to tame the bull.
Which is almost like if you don't have subtitles on, it's almost like noise for 40 minutes, like straight up noise. Like 45 minutes, the noise doesn't end.
No, what I was trying to say was the way he shot that Jallikattu scene is also like something that I hadn't seen. Like every time
Yeah.
that bull hit him or that bull hit anyone, I could feel it. Like it was that well done. I mean, I'm pretty sure Lijo probably like took some inspiration from this as well.
Yeah. But there's also like this, over the top action scenes in this. And I don't know, he does that a lot. Even in Anbe Shibam, there's one, like the whole movie is like going on one track. Like, okay, it's a comedy, and then now it's like we're getting into serious stuff, dramatic stuff. And then suddenly there's this fight scene with an umbrella, like, and he's using the umbrella to, like, it's completely, like, it belongs in a different movie, but then, that's his style, like Kamal Haasan's. It's like it turns into like some prop action scene, like some Jackie Chan scene where he just has one prop to fight 20 people.
Yeah. I mean, it did that in Alavandan also, but then that story,
That fits
that
more
character
with
was
the
also.
tone, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that character also was in that tone only of those action sequences, like completely over the top. I mean, we can record another episode for Alavandan separately one day, but like let's stick to Virumaandi
I think
only.
like
and,
if I think there will be people who see that stuff now and think, okay, what is this? Like, why does it belong in this movie? But I
Right.
think you can also see it as a certain style that he has. That
Right.
like no one looks at some old Tarantino movie like some Kill Bill or something and see some over the top fight scenes and like, oh, why is this in this movie?
Yeah, because they are like more accustomed to praising.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this guy is a genius, so this must be like some cool thing to do. But then when it's like Kamal Haasan, it's like out of play.
Yeah, I mean this film is amazing, to be very honest. Like I haven't seen something like this before, and
Yeah.
one thing that I really liked was just the pure macho aspect of Kamal Hassan's acting in this. Like his acting is also like in a certain way, like that's very particular to that character. But because since he's also written it,
I think he's like grounded all aspects of the making, everything from cinematography to dialogues to acting to sound. Like it's perfectly grounded in that reality is taking place. Like even if you don't know
Right.
actually how it is, it still feels very that raw, rustic type of feel to everything.
exactly.
And I think that lends it some. I mean, that brings a lot of originality. And like going back to saying, like he takes one thing from like Hollywood or like Europe or something, but then he has like the perfect ability to ground it in, like the Tamil culture or some Indian context.
Right. Even just you just said like it's like raw and rustic and everything. And just the idea of that also, what that does is, as an audience, you also feel like if that person is in danger, you really feel he's in danger.
Yeah.
Like if someone is going to come and stab him with a sickle, you're really scared because you know that is going to hurt him. I mean, just that aspect of it for the audience, how you perceive that film becomes even more engaging, and that experience becomes like 10 times better. Just
Yeah.
because you know, like that person can actually die, he can get killed, his hand can get cut. So yeah, I mean, there's this scene also in Virumaandi only where he goes like in full rampage. He goes on killing people. He cuts people's hand like proper. I mean, the violence in this is a little too much for like Indian films, but it is fun, obviously.
It
But
fits into the context
similar to
also
this,
in these.
right. And similar to this, Vetrimaran also has like a similar scene in what was his last film that he did?
Asuran.
With Dhanush. Asuran, yeah. A similar scene in Asuran as well. Like the amount of anger both the characters have in both those films, and the amount of violence is almost on the same frequency. But I mean, that's something that Vetrimaran took it from him. But Kamal Haasan does it so well. Like you actually feel that his hand has gotten cut. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think just establishing the culture, I think he does that so well. Like, and I mean, if you know Tamil and all, he's actually known for doing all those accents in different movies. Like in literally every movie is a different accent. And yeah, as I was saying, like he knows how to adapt something. It's almost like, Vishal Bharadwaj adapting Shakespeare and like setting it in Kashmir Valley and all. Like he's a guy who knows that stuff. Like I think that's what makes him a great writer because even if you see most writers, like even Vetrimaran, he talks about like a lot of themes of his are borrowed from like literature, all of that. but he knows how to set it in this particular context.
Hmm.
Yeah. You want to end on some topic? So, like,
Like
what did you
what?
think about the movie generally?
I mean, this film is like I said it before, like it's really good, and it's almost 3 hours long, but you don't feel those 3 hours because it is very engaging all
It's very
throughout.
like high
And
energy always.
how
Like it's
exactly like complete high energy, like what I just said about like Jallikattu also before, that film by Lijo's Jallikattu, like it was similar to that, and in this as well, it's very high octane and it's like moving all the time. It doesn't stop. And because there are like two perspectives of the same story, even you're confused like one is true, but there is also this sort of meta nature what Virumaandi puts in his story, and that also becomes like Kamal Haasan's way of telling that story, and that film's also title, which is Virumaandi. But just the whole idea of having different perceptions to the same thing.
also like we didn't mention almost a complete commercial massy type of movie. Like
Yeah, it's not some art house.
in
Huh.
that way, it differs from Jallikattu and all that.
Definitely,
I think it's
definitely.
even more
Yeah,
commercial and massy than like Vetrimaran movies.
definitely. Yeah, no doubt.
Like right from the beginning, you have very commercial elements.
This film has got like some next level fan following. After I watched that movie, I went on and checked online, and the kind of fan following this film has is next level. And I think since it was coming out on Prime, like 10 days back or something, um, people were like there are videos that came out on Kamal Hassan's production house's YouTube channel.
Raj Kamal films.
Yeah, Raj Kamal films, and like the comments, like there's nothing negative about it. It's all like people praising how influential that film has been for filmmakers and for them as viewers. Like there's those people must have seen it when they were kids, and
That's one Anurag Kashyap video, no, where he's talking about Tamil filmmaker, and he saw some
yeah.
movies where it was like, it's a very grounded movie, and that made him go and start making stuff like Vasepur,
Oh yeah, Sasi Kumar's movie,
Yeah. So he was telling how that movie is
Subramaniapuram.
very grounded in Tamil culture. So because of that, that sort of inspired him and made him look at his own upbringing and that environment.
Right. I think that is also very related to those industries as well. Like not just Tamil industry, but Malayalam industry as well. Like you've got like stories which are very rooted to that culture or a very specific space. I think those kind of films mostly have succeeded in Hindi also when people have tried to root stories in a particular place. Like you look at any Vishal Bhardwaj film, like his success is Omkar and all. Like the films that have been set in a particular time in a particular space have worked out really well uh, as a whole film. I think,
Yeah.
and most of I think this is just an assumption, but like most of Malayalam films and Tamil films are rooted in those places. Like obviously there are stories which like by Ajit or someone that take you to Bombay or some place like some action thriller and all. But in general, like most films are very
I think like the ones this guy mentioned, Anurag Kashyap mentioned, I think all the films he mentioned, I think he mentioned this thing, Subramaniapuram and what is that other movie? Some Bala movie, I forgot the name of.
okay.
All of that, I think the predecessor is Kamal Haasan. Like I think he set it all up, and then these guys sort of carried it forward. Like they took whatever he was doing, like how he
Right.
went into a particular locale and people there he made all as the characters. I think the same trend has been followed on.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was thinking. Like even Bala, who made Setu,
Yeah,
which
Setu,
inspired
that's what I
like
was saying.
Setu, right? Yeah. At some point, Anurag Kashyap was writing a Hindi remake of Setu for Salman Khan, and this is an interesting story. Like uh, Kashyap meets Salman Khan for the first time, and he tells Salman Khan that you've got to grow hair on your chest, and Salman Khan throws a glass bottle or a glass at him, and then the producer comes in firing at Kashyap saying, "How can you tell that to Salman
But did the
Khan?"
movie get
And then
made?
he's the project. Yeah, it got made. It was remade into Tere Naam,
Yeah.
which was directed by Satish Kaushik. Like everyone knows the cult sort of quote unquote cult following of Tere Naam that it has on like Hindi audiences. But I've seen Setu, and it's a very sanitized version of Setu. Tere Naam is a very sanitized, very hardcore Bollywoodized version of the original. Like it was made to cater Salman Khan and Salman Khan's basic audiences back then. But anyway, yeah, I mean, Bala took inspiration from Kamal Hassan's Virumaandi. I think there's one video, it's a very short video, I think less than a minute, where Bala is talking.
No, not Setu. Setu came before Virumaandi.
No, not Setu. Like, I think this is post Virumaandi.
Yeah.
And there's some song. I don't know which song because I can't understand Tamil. That video was in Tamil, obviously. I was trying to look for any comment that could help me out. But he said one song in Virumaandi helped him inspire write 3 stories. So, I mean, people have been influenced. Like, most of the directors, the good filmmakers that we've come to know of have been inspired by Virumaandi specifically.
For some reason, Kamal Haasan is one guy. I don't think his movies are as internationally renowned as they should be. I mean, I don't know if that is because he doesn't have any in his filmography that stands up to today's standards or something, or like I don't know why. I mean, people talk about Hey Ram and Nayakan and all, but then I don't know if like a audience abroad would like it. I think Nayakan was recognized by the BBC or something.
Yeah. It's recognized as like top great films or something, Nayagan. But I'm sure because people, international audiences who would like to like get into like watch films and everything with respect to India, these are like one of those great films that you can begin with as well. Because they're so rooted in culture, it becomes an experience for an outsider to view it as an experience to learn about that culture as well.
I think I'd recommend this thing more, Pushpak. Because that's like a perfect... I mean, I said before also, it like holds up perfectly now.
Definitely. Even like Michael Madana, but like, yeah, I think all these Kamal Haasan movies are on time.
It hasn't gotten the acclaim worldwide or internationally as some of the other actors. Like if you see Amitabh Bachchan and all.
Yeah. No, I think Virumaandi won some award in some best Asian film or something like that, if I'm not wrong.
Random ass festival, I think.
I mean, okay. I mean, yeah, that's actually right. Like, he's not as recognized as probably like Amitabh Bachchan in overseas.
Even Amitabh Bachchan, it's like, okay, you have a couple of movies. Like, people watch Sholay considering that time and that context. And Anand, I mean, he's in Anand. So, I mean, he has those movies. And if you see anybody, like, they'll have some art house movie or something. Like, even Nasiruddin Shah or something, he'll have like 20 movies to show. But I think Kamal Haasan's, I don't think they're very acclaimed as of now for some reason. I mean,
that's also because they're not spoken out by like mainstream critics or like mainstream personalities in media. I mean, that's the only reason I can come up with. Otherwise, there's no other reason because probably they wouldn't have seen it or like. But like, see, talking about like directors getting influenced, like, obviously there has been some influence on these personalities and like it's shown in their films as well. But it's mostly, I think, people don't know it beyond those films. Like, people would know who Vetrimaran is now, or like consider him as like in like top 10 filmmakers in India right now. But they don't know how he was influenced.
Are you talking about Kamal Haasan influencing Tarantino?
Oh.
For Kill Bill animated sequence. Yeah, every Kamal Haasan video has YouTube comment. Did you know Kamal Haasan influenced Tarantino?
I mean, I see that thing. I see that trivia everywhere.
But I don't even know if it's true.
Who said that line
People
though?
Say
like,
Anurag Kashyap saw Tarantino and Tarantino was like, I lifted the Kill Bill sequence from Abhay.
I mean, it's quoted everywhere, but like, there's no validation. Like, Tarantino should come out and tell us. Let's call him on our podcast.
I think a lot of people like feel proud that like under Gangs of Wasipur videos, it'll be like, Scorsese likes this movie. Martin Scorsese recommends Gangs of Wasipur.
Right, but that's like people being like, trying to get validation from Tarantino and Scorsese.
Colonial Hangover.
Then people should also like watching Kante. Because Tarantino likes Kante.
In fact, there is a clip of him saying that. In fact, that is the only thing
I've seen that, yeah.
Bro, next episode on Kante.
Done. Perfect. I mean, with that, this is a wrap on the episode. If there are any recommendations that you want us to talk about, please follow us on Instagram and text us on Instagram. We'll reply back to you, obviously.
No, we're busy.
Subscribe on Spotify because you're not on YouTube right now. We'll come on
Yeah,
YouTube though,
we'll
right?
live stream.
Done. Perfect. Let's try to get Alok Nanda
why
Dasgupta
obsessed
next.
with-
What obsessed?
No, she just liked one of our posts, so
Yeah, on Instagram.
Oh,
So
yeah,
please
best
follow
friends.
on Instagram.
endorsed by Harshvardhan Kapoor and Alok Nanda Dasgupta.
Definitely. Approved by CBFC.
Yeah, we need to talk about some Terrence Malick movies and all. Then he'll come, I think.
Chalo, next episode on Terrence Malick. Khatam.
You filthy bully, you filthy... You sell your guy, not tasty grass before, eh? You warmongering bully.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.